Yeah, I'll see you all in hell. Please remember that. Every I'll see you in hell. So, Your Honor, take your rubber stamp and do what you plan to do from the beginning. Justice was not served.
These law enforcement officers are just flat out obsessed, trying to put another Hell's Angel to death.
From a Hell's Angels member cursing out the judge to another who remains completely emotionless, these gang members' reactions to death sentences will leave you shocked. Here are some of the most dangerous Hell's Angels members reacting to their sentences in court. First, let's talk about Antonio Bato Bagnato, an Australian national who was sentenced to death in Thailand for the abduction and murder of Wayne Schneider, a former Hells Angels member, in December 2015. Schneider's body was discovered in a shallow sandy grave in Sattahip province with a broken neck and severe facial injuries, consistent with a violent beating. Bagnato and Schneider had been former business partners, co-owning a boxing gym in Sydney, and both were under Australian police scrutiny for other criminal activities. Bagnato was already wanted for the 2014 murder of Bradley Dillon in Sydney. Thai police identified Bagnato as the mastermind behind Schneider's murder, citing a conflict over a multi-million-dollar international drug network spanning Europe and Asia as the motive. After fleeing Thailand, following Schneider's murder, Bagnato was arrested in Phnom Penh, Cambodia. During the trial, the court presented multiple pieces of evidence, including eyewitness accounts placing Bagnato at the crime scene, GPS data from his rental car, and DNA evidence found at the burial site.
The brutal murders of those two boys angered so many people in this county that I could not find at least one person who felt that the death penalty was too harsh.
Bagnato showed no signs of remorse but reacted with disbelief and frustration upon hearing his sentence. He maintained his not guilty plea throughout the trial, with his defense arguing that the evidence presented was circumstantial. The Australian government, which has historically opposed the death penalty, faced pressure to intervene. However, while it had previously advocated against capital punishment in the cases of Andrew Chan and Miran Sukumaran, both executed in Indonesia in 2013, Bagnato's case attracted less public sympathy due to the violent nature of the crime and his criminal history. Human rights advocates stress that the severity of the crime should not justify the death penalty, emphasizing Australia's firm stance against capital punishment for all individuals regardless of the crime. Following the verdict, Bagnato's legal team began working on an appeal, focusing on challenging the evidence and procedural issues during the trial. They argued that a life sentence would be more appropriate and that the death penalty was disproportionate, even considering the brutality of the crime. The case continues to draw attention to Thailand's capital punishment policies, with over 600 prisoners on death row despite the last execution occurring in 2009. Advocates argue that justice should be served without resorting to the death penalty, while Bagnato's fate remains uncertain as the appeal process unfolds. Next, we have someone who once helped Bagnato escape from Cambodia, Luke Joshua Cook. Luke Joshua Cook, a 34-year-old Australian and member of the Hells Angels Bikie gang, was sentenced to death in Thailand for attempting to smuggle 500 kilos of crystal methamphetamine, also known as ice. The drugs, worth approximately $300 million, were intended to be transported from Thailand to Australia. Cook's Thai wife, Karat W. Chapak, was also sentenced to death for her involvement. The smuggling operation dates back to 2015, when Cook and others allegedly acquired the meth from a Chinese supplier in international waters. According to Thai authorities, the drugs were transported on a yacht. However, during their return trip, they encountered a Thai Navy patrol boat near Chonburi province. In an attempt to evade capture, they reportedly dumped the drugs into the sea. Later, over 50 kilos of meth washed ashore on a beach in Rayong, leading to further investigation. Cook and his wife were arrested in December 2017 at Bangkok's Suvarnabhumi airport. During the trial, Cook denied any involvement in the smuggling plot. His defense lawyer argued that there was no concrete evidence linking him to the crime. Despite these efforts, the court found both Cook and his wife guilty. Upon hearing the death sentence, Cook reportedly showed shock and disbelief. He has maintained his not guilty stance throughout the proceedings, and his lawyer has stated an intention to appeal the verdict within 30 days.
My son is not guilty of the charges he's been charged with. Questions need to be asked. And that's why I'm here in Australia. That's why I'm speaking out.
However, in a stunning reversal, the Thai Supreme Court dismissed all charges against Luke Joshua Cook and his wife in September 2021, citing insufficient evidence. This decision marked the end of a 4-year ordeal for the couple, who were released from prison and allowed to resume their lives, with Cook being deported back to Australia. While Cook's case took a dramatic turn, another Australian, Tom Stoic, found himself facing serious charges in Thailand. Stoic, a 47-year-old Australian, was arrested in Buriram, Thailand, during a coordinated police operation targeting a major drug trafficking ring. The raid led to the discovery of 20 grams of methamphetamine, or ice, hidden in his car. Stoic was taken into custody alongside 2 other Australians, Jamie Handsome and Stephen H. Lai, who were allegedly involved in the same network. The investigation revealed that the group had been targeting tourists in Pattaya, a city known for its vibrant nightlife and infamous reputation as a hotspot for criminal activities. During the raids, police found significant evidence including 1.1 kilo of methamphetamine, a firearm and bank slip showing financial transactions exceeding 1 million baht. The evidence painted a clear picture of a well-organized operation, with Stoic and his associates playing key roles in distributing meth to foreigners in the region. Facing the possibility of a death sentence if convicted, Stoic reacted with shock and fear. His arrest marked the beginning of a tense period in custody, with authorities continuing to investigate the full extent of his involvement in the drug trafficking operation. Like the others arrested, Stoic was well aware of Thailand's harsh penalties for drug-related crimes, particularly those involving large quantities of narcotics. The severity of the charges weighed heavily on him, and reports indicated that he appeared increasingly anxious as the legal process unfolded. Stoic has not publicly commented on the charges or his alleged involvement in the operation. However, police believe the men were working with a larger network that spanned multiple countries, including links to other criminal groups such as the Comanchero Motorcycle Club. Thai authorities stated that the group's goal was to sell methamphetamine to tourists, particularly in Pattaya, which remains a key focus area in the fight against drug trafficking. As the investigation continues, Stoic's future remains uncertain, with the looming threat of a death sentence hanging over him. Jeffrey Venn and a murder that shocked many. Jeffrey Venn was arrested in connection with the February 2015 murder of Stephen Lucy. Lucy was found shot in a pickup truck after driving erratically and crashing near the intersection of Santa Fe Avenue and Berkeley Road, north of Turlock. He later died at the hospital from his gunshot wounds. Venn, a known associate of the Modesto Hells Angels Motorcycle Club, was initially considered a suspect in the case, but there was not enough evidence to charge him. However, during a federal investigation into an alleged drug ring involving high-ranking members of the Hells Angels, new information surfaced in October 2020, linking Venn to the murder, leading to his arrest. The prosecution presented evidence that Venn was involved in the killing. A bystander who found Lucy with a gunshot wound to the leg which had severed an artery asked him who shot him. Lucy's dying words were that Jeff had shot him, and the name Venn was mentioned. Investigators also discovered that Venn had been shot in the hand shortly after the incident, raising further suspicions about his involvement. Venn claimed that he and another man had met Lucy for the sale of a watch, and that during the meeting, the other man opened fire with 2 guns, hitting both him and Lucy. He provided the name of the alleged shooter, but could not offer further details, and investigators were unable to track down anyone matching that description. Despite the new evidence, the case was ultimately dropped when the FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office withheld crucial evidence and witnesses from the prosecution, including information about a possible second shooter. Without this information, the District Attorney's Office moved to dismiss the case, though they hinted at refiling it once the missing evidence became available. Venn was initially charged with second-degree murder, with an enhancement for using a firearm. The prosecution also considered adding a special circumstance which would have elevated the charge to first-degree murder, making him eligible for the death penalty or life in prison without parole. However, with the federal investigation still ongoing, Venn's future remains uncertain, and the case could be refiled once the withheld evidence is released.
Yeah, I'll see you all in hell. Please remember that. I'll see you in hell.
His co-defendants Hall and Shalo were also convicted of the murders and received similar sentences. The case shocked the town of Pittsfield, and due to its high profile, the trial was moved to Springfield, Massachusetts to ensure a fair jury. Veo Vis has a history of violent crimes in 1999. He and his girlfriend were convicted of the assault after they lured a teenage girl into their motel room, cut her back with a razor blade, and drank her blood. He served 3 years in prison for that crime in 2006. He was charged with kidnapping and drug possession after holding 2 strippers against their will, but the kidnapping charges were later dropped. Despite his conviction, Vis remains defiant after his sentencing. He told the court he planned to appeal his appearance, which includes horn-like implants on his forehead.
So, Your Honor, take your other stand and do what you plan to do from the beginning. Justice was not served. I'm an innocent man. You condemn an innocent man, and I will appeal this.
K.S. Vovis will now spend the rest of his life behind bars, but he continues to claim he had no part in the crimes. Vovis wasn't the only one tied to these brutal murders. Adam Lee Hall also played a key role in the shocking events. Adam Lee Hall,